Hi, so welcome back to Golf FM. So this week it is the turn of two high launch rivals. We've got the Taylormade Stealth HD from last year, and we've got Callaway's new AI Smoke HL. Taylormade are about to launch a QI HL, but it's not out yet, and I wanted to have a look at this new Callaway HL and put it up against something else which is in that category. Now, this Stealth HD iron is still available and you can get it for about $699 online, whereas this set of irons is going to be about $943, so there's about a £244 difference. That is based on 5 to sand wedge, which is all you can really get of these at the moment. So I'll do it in the same way. I'll talk about the looks and that side of it first, and then I'll go through the stats, which I've already done, mercifully making it shorter for you. I'll have a look at the analysis of the shots and the stats, see which one came out the best, and then I'll have another hit with them, final hit, just to remind myself about feel, and again talk about general looks, and potentially give you a winner at the end of it. So, looks first of all. Now, when you look at the back of these, the Stealth HD does look a bit funny. I mean, there's no getting away from it. It is unusual. It's got unusual looks, and this Callaway AI Smoke is much more conventional, so it looks pretty standard. It's a little bit shallower, which you would expect from a high launch club. Now, high launch clubs tend to have a lot of weight low down in the sole. The AI Smoke I know uses tungsten, quite low in the body. They also tend to have quite wide soles. The Callaway HL doesn't have as wide a sole as the Stealth HD. The Stealth HD's almost got a little bit more of a hybrid kind of look about it. It's almost a bit more specialist. So the HL looks a lot more like a standard club, and if it can do the job of this HD, then it shows that you don't have to get something slightly weird or odd looking to launch the ball up in the air. Now, these clubs are 30 degrees each for the 7-iron. So a standard 7-iron in days of yore would have been 34, and you still get that on blades and that sort of thing. So these are stronger than that, but the QI, for example, is 28 degrees, and there's irons out there at 27 degrees. The likes of the AI Smoke itself is 27 degrees, and the Cobra Dark Speed is 27 degrees. So some people who don't have a lot of speed, consequently 27 degrees, they tend to hit that and it'll fall out the air too quick. It doesn't stay in the air long enough, so you need a little bit more loft to keep the ball afloat. 30 degrees is still quite strong, so these should still go quite far. I mean, my set of D9 Forge, which I'm looking to change soon, are 30.5 degrees, and they go a long way, so these are even fractionally stronger than that, even though they're still trying to hit the ball up in the air. So it could be quite a good combination for a lot of people. Back to the looks idea, I think this Callaway wins it in terms of shelf appeal. If you look at the top line and you put them down, again, it's no contest in terms of a beauty contest. For me, the Callaway just looks much more like a standard club. There's a little bit of offset. There's probably even more offset looking on the Stealth HD. But the Callaway AI Smoke HL could be anything. You know, it just looks like a standard, fairly thick top line, but not excessive, game improvement club. And the Stealth HD, you know there's something different going on. You can virtually see the back of it, even on the 7-iron. The top line's quite thick, and as I say, there's quite a lot of offset. So that's looks, so let's now have a look at the shots that I hit. Right, so the ball speed for each was 119, and the launch was 20.2 on the Callaway, and the launch was 20.6 on the Taylormade. One thing I should mention is that the Callaway HL is half an inch longer than standard, and Callaway have done this because they claim that the supercomputer that helped make the face much more forgiving no matter where you hit it enables them to make the shaft longer so that people can use a longer shaft, create a longer arc, create more speed, but because the face is so forgiving, it doesn't matter that the club's longer. I slightly worry about this because whenever the club's longer, it gets harder to middle. But obviously Callaway are saying it doesn't matter, but well, we'll see. I'm personally not a fan of making golf clubs longer unnecessarily. So both clubs pretty similar there in terms of ball speed and launch. A little bit higher with the Taylormade. It's got a bit more extreme weighting possibly. The backspin, pretty similar, a little bit higher again on the Taylormade. Again, is the weight just that fraction bit lower? Does it help it go easier? even higher. It's only a tiny bit though, so I wouldn't read too much into that. In terms of the carry, it was 177 for the Callaway and 176 for the Taylormade, so pretty similar there. Maybe the fraction longer shaft in the Callaway helping it achieve bigger distances. The total was 191 and 190, so pretty similar, and descent angle sharper on the Taylormade at 47 and 46 on the Callaway. Dispersion is actually a factor on this. I don't normally rate dispersion that much on this because I just feel like that too much of it is my fault, me pushing it or pulling it or doing whatever, but I did see a trend with this and I'll show you. And actually, just before I go on to dispersion, I just wanted to mention that my overall feeling was that the Callaway was a little bit longer. I know those figures came out really quite similar, but looking into the figures a bit more deeply, there were 3 of the 10 best ones in the Callaway that carried over 180 yards, and there was only 1 in the Taylormade that carried over 180. And my general feeling was that it was a little bit longer in terms of distance. Now, it might just be the ½ inch on the shaft, I'm not sure, but that's overall the feeling was they were pretty close, but I think the Callaway edges it on distance. So I just wanted to show you this dispersion thing, and as I said, normally not a big fan of this, but the HD stands for high draw, and I wasn't sure if I would notice much there in terms of the Taylormade, I mean. So the red orangey circle is the Taylormade, and you can see it's much more in the center, and if anything it's over to the left a little bit. I did find it a little bit easier to hit straight. There were shots in there that I thought, oh, that'll be leaking right. I've missed that one to the right because I hit the Callaway first and a lot of the shots I left out to the right. Now that's partly me. I'm working on something at the moment. I used to hit hooks and I'm trying to get away from that. The thing I'm finding now is that I still get a little bit of the hook swing path, but I'm not closing the face as much as I used to, so it's not kind of coming back, and I need to work on the swing path and not just the face. The Taylormade helped me out, so there would be shots I would think definitely they're going a little bit right, and they wouldn't. They would kind of draw back or they would kind of stay where they were, and I just felt like if you're somebody who is habitually struggling with the ball leaking to the right and slicing away, then the HD is trying its absolute hardest to help you out. I'm not saying it's going to absolutely change your game and bring everything back, but if anything's going to help you, this thing is. So worth bearing in mind. Right, so I'm going to talk about feel mainly here when I'm hitting them, maybe possibly about looks as well a little bit, but feel is the main thing that I want to talk about while I'm hitting these shots. A lot of these clubs nowadays put foam, elastomer, things like that in there to try and give it a softer feel, because traditionally game improvement clubs are made from cast metal and they're harder. They sound hard, they sound harsh, and generally it's not a feel or sound that people really take to. Some people might like to feel it really jumping off the face and give them a feeling of speed, but generally people want a softer feel. And you can put a forged face in these and it would give you a softer feel immediately, but you add a lot of cost if you do that. Paradigm, for example, from last year by Callaway was quite expensive, principally because it had a forged face. So a lot of these clubs have got internal goings on, working hard to try and make it have a soft feel. So we'll see how that translates when I'm hitting them. Right, so we'll go with the Callaway HL at the moment. Again, looks wise, just looks very similar to any other normal game improvement club that you might come across. Perfectly nice looking head. Decent strike. It felt okay. I mean, it didn't feel like a forged club, obviously, but it felt perfectly nice. A little bit harder than you might get. That was a nice strike and felt good. I'm using a tour response ball again, which is a bit of a softer compression, which might be something that somebody should use and think about using if they're in the market for this type of club. You know, if you're a slower swing speed player, you need a softer compression ball that you can squash and it can jump out, whereas a TP5 or a Pro V1 is very hard compression. It's not going to give on impact and not trampoline out like you would really want it to and give you a bit of extra speed. So watch what ball you use. Yeah, that felt nice. Not such a good strike. Felt okay. Felt alright. Only carried 162 that. Bit of a toe strike. Wee bit clean. Bit thinny. Not bad though. And it felt okay considering, you know, that wasn't a middled strike. It's gone quite well. 175 carry. still pretty strong. That's the feeling I got with these, that they may say HL and you may have this idea that, oh god, they're going to go way up in the air, but they're still pretty strong clubs, these. 30 degrees is not to be sniffed at in terms of loft. It's not really high. A little bit to the right, I would say, but felt nice. And that's the sort of shot which I hit ones like that with the HD, the Stealth, and they felt like they were almost coming back on me. 176 carry. So yeah, feel perfectly nice. Not anything mind-blowing, but in no way bad. Perfectly nice feel. So Stealth HD immediately looks a bit strange at address, but you know, if it's doing the job, you're going to get quickly used to that and it's not going to bother you. Bit clean again. There's that little curvature. Just noticed it did that a little bit more. It would turn to the left a little bit more than the other club. So definitely a consideration if you're thinking about either of these. Better strike. Felt perfectly nice. I don't know if it felt softer than the Callaway. Difficult to tell. Not a lot in it. Definitely not a lot in it, but again it went over to the left a little bit. Difficult to test inside obviously, but this big wide sole could actually be a real bonus for some people. If you hit it fat, if you dig into the earth a lot with your irons, this will try its best to stop bad coming of that. So it'll try to stay above ground. It's just so wide, there's a lot more bounce, it just doesn't want to dig into the turf like a sharp edged, thin soled club. Now the Callaway's quite wide as well, and they've contoured that this year to try and do exactly what I'm saying and not dig into the turf, but there's no question that this would be your best iron available. Short of going to all rescue clubs, this is as friendly as you're going to get the bottom of the club to be on an iron. That was a nice strike, and that felt really quite nice. Really quite nice, soft, relatively soft feel. Can't complain. Let's see if I can produce an identical swing 2 in a row. That's like lightning striking in the same place twice. No, not even close. I could have been clods of earth up actually, that one. And by the power of editing, let's see if I can have another attempt at hitting back-to-back ones. Not as good. I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll keep hitting the Callaway to a nice one, and then I'll go straight on to Taylormade and try and do it the other way. Little bit clean, but pretty close to a good strike. Let's try and hit the Taylormade straight after. Decent strike, probably leaked it a little bit. Trying to almost come back again. Right, so conclusion is the feel is not different enough to bother about. They both feel pretty good for what they are. They're not harsh, they're not noisy, perfectly usable, nice feels for a game improvement club that isn't forged. If you're going on looks, I would say the Callaway wins hands down. Feel, we're going to say, was the same. Distance, we're going to say the Callaway is fractionally longer, possibly thanks to its half-inch longer shaft, but I think is just a little bit longer. Forgiveness, important one though. I think this HD definitely tries its best not to go right, and I think it actually does quite a good job of that. The HL is just neutral. I wouldn't say it's trying to do one thing or the other. It's probably as forgiving as anything out there, but I don't think it's desperately trying to draw it back or save you from a slice as much as it's just trying to hold on to ball speed and resist twisting, depending on what kind of swing you've put on it. But the Stealth HD definitely feels like it's trying to not go to the right. Be interesting to see whether the QI HL, when it comes out, is doing the same sort of thing and they've just rebranded it as high launch rather than HD. I'll put this up against it and have a look, and I'll also put the Callaway up against the QI when it comes out. Price wise, there's no contest because this is £244 cheaper. So absolute bargain at the moment if you can still get a set. If you can live with the looks and you're leaking the ball to the right, then the Stealth HD is your winner. So that's enough from me for today. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. That would be great. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.